Weber. Welcome to your start at living an ageless lifestyle.
By becoming a member, you will look and feel ageless. You will receive lifetime full access, and you will join a growing community.
Our community is all about being positive
and building each other up.
On this site, things to expect are various educational resources, exclusive video content, as well as consultation discounts. Before I step into a meeting with these clients, I just wanted to say I am so excited for you to join the Ageless Lifestyle community.
Hello, everybody. Oh my goodness. So today is my most favorite day ever. This is my mother.
Hello, everyone.
And for those of you that that work with me a lot, you know I always say, well, this is what I've done for my mother, or I use my mother as an example for just about everybody. And a lot of the things. So this is the one that created me. So anyway, I'm honored to have you here today. And thank you so much, Mama, for taking the time to come and chat.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And you know, today we're going to just talk about some things that are really near and dear to my heart. And you know, I've been getting a lot of calls about these sorts of situations and the what do I do's. And, you know, the calls are coming in from both people that are 65 and older, either for themselves or their spouse, or the calls are coming in for people my age, and I'm 55. And they're coming in from people my age that say, oh my gosh, this is happening with my parents. Now what do I do? And so I just kind of wanted to bring in my own mother and just kind of talk about a lot of these really tough topics that we're going to go through. We're going to get really raw and real and candid and just try and go through some of these things. You know, I laugh at the beginning with my mom. When I first got into this business, I would meet with people and I was new and I didn't know I just was new. And all these people would always say to me, well, I can't decide right now. I need to check with my kids and I'll get back to you. Let me just run this by my kids. I got that more times than not. So finally I go home and I'm like, Mom, you've got all this planning done. And until I got into this business, like I didn't even know about the planning. And how come you've never checked with me? And what did you say?
Why would I need to check with you?
Yeah, my mom had no reason to check with me. So I had no idea. And, you know, my mom is my best friend. And I'm going to get a little emotional to even saying this, but I'm one of those people that nothing's ever going to happen to her. And so I never wanted to have the conversation of like end of life or long-term care or, you know, when she passes away. I just never wanted to have that conversation because that was never going to happen to my own mother. However, it happens. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today are just some of those different rough topics and how to have the conversations. So what I want to talk about, we're going to talk about some financial aspects and planning. We're going to talk about mental aspects, you know, how my mom at age 83 is so mentally strong, how she's physically strong at 83. We're going to also talk about some spiritual aspects. And we're talking about spiritual last because, you know, without God, none of these other things are possible. And so God just kind of ties everything up at the end. And again, for those of you that know me, you know, I'm very faith-based and I get that from my mother. So let's talk a little bit about the financial aspects of your planning. So, I want to talk about the importance of planning for your retirement. Share how it made you feel going through this maybe with your own parents and why you chose to make the decisions financially that you did, and even things that you went through financially, why you made these decisions to go through what you did.
Okay. Well, I had really great role models. My parent, being from the Midwest, Kansas, they were extremely careful about their spending, and they were very set financially as they got older, and so they just, taught me to do the same thing. However, um, my dad was extremely careful about making his last arrangements so that my brother and I would know exactly where everything was and how to do everything when
was very
something
smooth.
happened to them. And of course, like you said, I didn't want to face it because I didn't want to talk about them dying. And every time we would go home, I lived in New York at the time. My brother lived in Washington, and the state of Washington. And every time we would go home, my dad would take us through all of the where everything was, who to call, what to do, and on and on and on. Well, when the time did come of his passing, and my mother had already passed a few months before he did, we had everything in order, everything, um, right down to the final arrangements for their funeral. And my brother and I had to do very little other than just clean out the house, period. That was it. And so when I came home, I thought, you know what? I need to do the same thing for my children so that when I pass, because I've been a single parent for 42 years, I guess it's been now. So it's been a long, long time. But I said, I need to do the same thing for my children so that when I pass, they'll know exactly what to do, where everything is. And so that's what got me started.
Mm-hmm.
And I, of course, first had a will made. And this was back several years ago. And since then, of course, I've had a trust replace that will.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. The trust versus the will. As you know, they're very different. And a will is something that's necessary for everybody. But if you have any sort of asset, a will is not enough. You need to, in addition, add in the trust factor, because a will still will go through probate. Right. And what that means is that it will take, depending upon how large or small your estate is, some people think, oh, I don't have very much. Well, even that could take up to 6 to 9 months to get through. And, we weren't even going to talk about this today, but yesterday I sent my mom over this agenda so she had an idea as to what, we were going to even discuss. And she went over to talk with a neighbor today, and as it is, share with them about your conversation today. This is so heart-wrenching, but this is every day. Oh, you need to move closer. I guess they can't hear you very well.
Oh, you can't hear me?
A little closer to the mic.
Okay. Is this better? Okay.
Okay. Thanks, team.
I just met Valerie. She had just returned from Michigan, and her mother passed 8 weeks ago.
How old is Valerie? Is she about my age?
Valerie is probably your age.
Okay.
Maybe a little older. But in any event, she's an only child. And so it's been very, very difficult for her. But she was telling me that her mother thought that because she only had the one daughter, it wasn't necessary for her to have a will or a trust. And Valerie now is going through a lot of headaches and heartaches because her mother had a reverse mortgage on her condo. She had a leased car, and obviously, she didn't have all that much to leave, but everything that she has now is tied up in probate simply because she did not have a will or a trust, even though Valerie was the only child. And Valerie took her mother's car the other day. She just returned from Michigan, and she had taken her mother's car into the dealership because it was leased. And she said, I need to get this off the lease and return it. Well, when she walked into the dealership, they wouldn't even talk to her because the car is tied up in probate.
Mm.
And until that's settled, Valerie is responsible for the monthly payments.
Mm.
She is also responsible for
Wow.
all of her mother's bills, like just the electric bill. She has to continue paying that because even everything in the house is tied up in probate.
See, and I know her mother would never have wanted that to happen.
No, never, ever. And so Valerie is not only is she hurting, she's also having to struggle through all of these financial headaches as well.
Mm. Wow. That's so, it was just so timely that happened today.
Yes,
and so my mother, being the Christian praying woman that she is, as poor Valerie was crying, my mom took her hands and they prayed together. And so, I'm going to hope to be able to try and give her some information to at least help with some of the part of what she's dealing with, because that's really rough.
Yeah.
But, okay. So let's talk a little bit about, I remember at probably age, well, I don't know how old your mom was, but your mom wound up, my grandmother wound up with Alzheimer's and wound up having to go into a long-term care facility, and they had long-term care for her. And I don't know how old they were when they purchased the long-term care, but I remember you purchasing long-term care and you were in your 40s or 50s.
In my 50s.
Okay. And did you make that decision? Again, I was in denial, not paying attention, or wasn't privy to know about these policies. But did you get that? What instigated you to put that in place?
Oh, absolutely. I would go home to see my mother about every 6 months. And my children were still small. And being a single parent, it was difficult for me. Not only financially, but also I, didn't like leaving them. And so I would go home about every 6 months. And after my mother went into the assisted living, she still recognized me and she still was able to carry on conversation with me, but she didn't know my children. I would say something to her about Stacy or Kirk, and she had no clue who they were. She was always very, very close with Stacy, especially. And in her eyes, my daughter could do no wrong.
Well, clearly we can see why.
But even though I would tell her, no, that's not right. But in any event, and then as time went on, my mother didn't recognize me either. And it was just devastating what the disease will do to a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so after going back several times, I came home, and my insurance broker at the time kept telling me that I needed to get long-term insurance. And I said, oh, yeah, right. I don't need that now. Because in your 50s, you don't think about long-term care in a nursing facility. And so I came home and called him and told him that I was ready. I needed to get the long-term care because I certainly did not want to be a burden on either of my children if that should ever happen to me. So again, long-term care is so critical for those of you who are in your 50s or early 60s to get it now because it's affordable. If you wait too long, then it's extremely costly.
Yeah.
And it goes up on an annual basis. But, it's very, very important that you have that, because I've seen friends of mine who have lost everything. They have to sell their home. They have, just to pay for their facilities when they go into assisted living or independent living or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. And luckily a lot of the insurance companies have recognized, they're calling this this long-term care need the next big pandemic. They're calling it a silver tsunami. And what that means is that the amount of people that are 65 and older that have no plans in place, that can't afford to put a plan in place, they're going to have to rely on the state to take care of them, and it's going to really heavily burden the state. A lot of the insurance companies are recognizing this, and they're putting in hybrid policies because, like you said, long-term care, once you're beyond the age of 65, it's a Christmas miracle. Well, it's a Christmas miracle to even get approved for it, because you can't even have had a hangnail in the last 6 months. But costly. And so a lot of the insurance companies are putting these hybrid policies in that are a lot less expensive. So that's great. Which me and my team have some information on that if anybody is interested. Let's talk a little bit about your financial planning decisions. What happened and transpired, because you were single raising my brother and I, and did a phenomenal job. But legacy has always been so important to you, making sure that you're leaving something to us, which I, keep telling, spend it all. But my mother was raised, legacy is very important. So share with everybody what that means.
Well, I had my retirement all worked out. Everything was planned in place. I had plenty of money to retire and to live comfortably. And I had, my home was paid, my car was paid. I really had no expenses other than my living expenses on a monthly basis. And so I thought I had everything in order, which I did. And I was still working at the time. And then 2008 hit. And overnight, literally overnight, I lost half of my investments, just gone. And so I met with my broker at the time, and he said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Yes, that did happen." And I said, "Well, am I going to be able to earn them back?" He said, "Probably not at your age. You will not be able to earn them back by the time you pass." I said, "Oh, good. So that means I'm going to have to continue working." And fortunately, I was working from home. This was before it was the thing to do.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. And so, and before everyone was doing it. But in any event, I it just continued working, and it really was a blessing, because I'm still working on a very, very part-time basis, but it just kept me mentally alert and busy all the time, all day. I had a reason to get up in the morning. And as it turned out, I just feel God again was watching over me, and he knew what was best for me. And, it's all turned out. And I just feel he will always meet my needs, which he will. And, I just feel like I've been very blessed.
Yeah, you have. And now you are completely out of the market with all of your investments and everything, and with
I
your
am indeed.
new financial planner has everything safe and sound.
Which is my grandson.
Yes. Yes. And, and again, I always tell everybody that whatever I do for my own mother, I recommend for my clients. And since my brother and I are the ones inheriting my mother's estate, we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose it in the market. So it's fully protected and in all kinds of programs that do not lose any money. So yay. Okay, real quick, because, about 2 months ago, my mom had me running around to some banks, putting my name onto the accounts. And, that's, I've heard pros and cons about that. And, so it is and it isn't. We were able to do it. One bank told us we couldn't because my mother has everything in a trust.
We weren't able to
we
do
weren't
it
able to do
anytime.
it. So if everything is in a trust, then you can't do it. So
But you can. There's a way to do it.
yes. So there's a little amendment that you got to sign and take to the banks and everything that allows you. So when my mother does pass, then I will be able to have access.
Well, you will be anyway because you're my beneficiary.
Right.
However, you weren't able, what I was concerned with, I wanted Stacy to be able to write checks on my accounts. And I had her name on my accounts years and years ago. And then when I got my trust, my accounts are all in my trust. And I am the trustee. So she is not included in that unless I do pass. And then she's the beneficiary. However, in the trust, there is an amendment.
Yeah.
That if you have it notarized and signed, then is all she has to do is take it to the bank and is able to write checks at that point, regardless of whether I'm, 100% healthy or whether I need someone to help me with my finances.
Incoherent. Yeah. So these are just all things. These are little I's that need to be dotted and T's that needed to be crossed that, the last thing after you've done any planning that you want for your loved ones is to have to go through these sort of things, which brings me to the beneficiary thing. This has happened to me 2 times this last week. So make sure on life insurance or anything that has a beneficiary associated with it, that you review that on a regular basis or make adjustments when somebody passes away. So I just had 2 husbands pass away recently, and they were the beneficiary, obviously, on their wives' life insurance. So I had to remind them both, we need to set up, have you fill out a beneficiary change form. And then another one, she just happened to be looking at her life insurance and her daughter was the beneficiary, and her daughter passed away 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So we've also been in homes where ex-spouses are the beneficiary. That wouldn't look so good on when the new wife goes to cash in the life insurance. So, make sure that that's okay. Okay, great information. And we'll include resources for all of these things we've just talked about there. Let's go ahead and talk about the mental aspects. So I know when my grandmother, your mother, wound up with Alzheimer's, not only did you financially and long-term care and make all of these plans due to all of that, but I know that you went in and you took some serious action with a homeopathic doctor. And let's just kind of talk about, the Dr. Burr's plan that you went to see to help you with your mental, because you did everything to make sure you were never going to have Alzheimer's. So,
well, I don't think anyone can guarantee.
Well,
that
but you took a lot of, I know, but you took a lot of really measurable steps.
But I just feel strongly that your diet, your exercise, your mental condition, using your mind on a daily basis.
How do you do that? What do you do every day?
Well,
Tell me your day.
Limit first of all, I think the biggest thing, because I have a lot of friends who are my age, who sit in front of the television all
Eeks.
day long.
You don't.
I never watch TV. I don't even watch TV at night. But I'm not saying to never watch TV. However, limit the amount that is watched, because it's all passive learning. There's nothing going on in the brain when you're watching TV.
Wow.
How often do you sit down to watch TV and then all of a sudden you realize you're asleep and you wake up and,
Yeah.
half of the night is gone, or it happens in the day too. So I really would suggest limiting the amount of TV you watch, read, be active in the community, just talking to other people. If you have a dog, you're walking your dog, well, that is the best time to meet your neighbors and talk with them. Even if you don't know them, you can still, dogs are great conversation pieces. You get to know the dogs before you know the owners. But in any event, it's just important to really be active in anything you do, whether it's the community, whether it's your church, wherever you are, even in the grocery store. It's fun to communicate with other people that you meet in the aisles and talk about the price of chicken or whatever the case may be, because just staying in your house and not having that interaction with others, you're just not using any part of your mind.
Yeah.
And it's your mind that goes along with your body, of course. I'm not saying my body is what it was 20 years ago, and I still have aches and pains every day, new ones every day, like everyone else my age. But I look forward to every day, and that's is something that a lot of people don't.
Yeah. The number one thing that I have been doing a lot of research, because I've been doing a lot of research currently for my own health, and I know that this is linked to so many things.
It's diet.
Well, it's diet. And the number one thing that I'll never forget, and my mother is the most disciplined human being. If you tell her, to not do something, she definitely is not going to do it if it's bad for her health. If you believe it. But, it was that giving up the sugar. It was giving up all sugars.
Yes.
and breads and sugar. What that does to your gut, to your mind, it creates depression.
Mm-hmm.
It feeds cancer. It feeds Alzheimer's. It feeds all kinds of really bad things. And I mean, you are so disciplined. I do not see you eat sugar barely ever.
Well, I'm not as good as I used to be.
But man,
I have to. Dr. Burr, I got a little sidetracked there, but Dr. Burr, who was, maybe some of you might know him or knew him, he has passed, but he's a holistic doctor that my yoga teacher suggested I go to him when I had ruptured discs. And I got those from running. I used to run every day in and day out. Every morning I would run. And so the jarring on my spine caused 3 of my discs to rupture, and I was hardly able to walk. And so she suggested I go to Dr. Burr. Within 6 weeks of seeing Dr. Burr, I was up, walking, and actually riding a bike.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And that was all from diet. And the first thing he did was remove all the sugar in my diet, potatoes, bread, And what was the other thing that was so hard for me to give up? But any legumes, like peanuts. What were some of the other things? But anyway, it's just important. And sugar was number one.
Yeah.
It's poison to your body. So after Dr. Burr passed, my grandson said, "Gee, Mimi, now you can eat sugar because Dr. Burr's not here watching you." So I said, "It doesn't work that way. I still can't eat sugar."
That's
So
adorable.
Anyway, it was cute.
Yeah. But we can reverse our biological clock at any age. It's never too late. The findings now are that it's taking like 6 to 9 weeks. Well, like if you stop sugar, it's taking just 6 to 9 weeks to make a significant improvement. And we have to train for our physical aging all the time, and so.
Yeah, red meat was the other
Oh,
thing.
red
that he
meat.
removed.
Yeah.
I haven't had a piece of red beef in what 40 years probably.
Yeah.
To look at it, it just disgusts me. I will have a cheeseburger once in a while, but that's it.
Yeah. And I just learned this recently, but from the neck down, your body does not know the difference between a can of soda and a bagel, like with the amount of sugar that is in both of those items. Like it has no idea.
Really?
They're both equally that bad for you. I thought that was like, whoa. Yeah. So what are some things that you do on the daily, like what's a best practice? Like I know in the morning you start your day, for your mental aspects, you start your day just with God.
I do.
And so tell them what you do first thing in the morning.
This is after I walk my dog.
And you've talked to all the neighbors.
And talk to the neighbors and that are out. And then I just come home and even before I eat my breakfast, I will sit down with my devotions. And at that time, I'm in the Word. I have a devotional book that I read. And it usually applies to where I am in my life, how that works out, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will spend time reading the Bible and applying it to my life. And then that sets me on the right track to be an obedient child during that day. Because God calls us to be obedient, and we need to be able to follow him. And of course, he's always with us all through the day, but it's very important that I start my day with the devotions, and that sets my day.
I'm sure people are dying to know, what do you eat for breakfast?
You don't want to know. I eat a bowl of blueberries.
But blueberries are good for your mind, for Alzheimer's prevention.
Blueberries.
And great antioxidants.
And then I eat 2 hard-boiled eggs, but not the yolk. I only eat the whites.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Just that?
That's it.
And then you also have just started incorporating the chia seed and water.
Oh, yes. I forgot that. But that's after. Oh, and I've just started a new that my brother told me about in Washington. He is a firm believer, and he even has his doctor doing it. And it's olive oil, lemon juice, and what's the other item?
Cayenne pepper?
No. Olive oil,
hot water,
lemon juice, and
garlic?
No.
Ginger?
Be quiet. Let me think. Anyway, but you have to drink this, and then you can't eat anything for a half an hour after this. So anyway,
interesting. But you've also incorporated
I'll
chia
tell
seeds
you in a few minutes.
Chia
and
seeds.
then I have a tablespoon of chia seeds in my tea, but I can't drink that until after the olive oil, the lemon juice, And there's a third thing.
She'll tell us in a minute.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
It's just, see
how it is.
it's one of those.
We're calling it sometimers disease.
Yes, senior moment.
Yeah. One of the things that has always frustrated me about aging, and I really pity the doctor that says this to me for the first time, at your age. That is,
You can expect these things.
I
at your
know.
age.
Yes. Like, what does that even mean? No. And my poor mother, she's a big decorator. And so she's in and out of decorating people's homes and up and down ladders. And so my 83-year-old mother is up and down ladders often. And I'm always like, Mom, you cannot be up and down ladders. And then I'm like, I'm doing that. And she always says that to me because I'm at this age, I shouldn't be up and down ladders. But you've really, ever since your back recovery, you have done so many amazing things to keep your body physically active. Again, so you don't get sedentary. Your joints, yes, you might have an ache and a pain, but you don't get sedentary. Talk a little bit about your physical routines.
I thought of the other item. It's honey.
Honey. That makes
A
it sound.
teaspoon of honey, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and it has to be from lemons,
A real lemon.
and the 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
Okay.
And then you mix that up, and I put it in the microwave for just a few seconds so that it, the honey melts into the 2 liquids, and then you just gulp it down, and it's disgusting. But it's supposed to work.
What's it supposed to do?
It's supposed to be great for your joints,
Okay.
and
Can't hurt.
really, I just feel I'm doing it because my brother feels so strongly about it. And even his doctor can see a huge difference in himself
All right.
with his joints and his arthritis.
Well,
and all.
if you have joint
So
and
try
arthritis,
that.
give that a try. All right. So physical. I know we know that you walk your dog how many times a day?
I walk Blue in the morning for probably a half an hour. I walk him in the afternoon, late afternoon, for another 15, 20 minutes. And then I walk in between, in the afternoons, but just short walks. Before COVID, I was doing water fitness twice a week. I haven't started that again, which
Water
probably-
aerobics is phenomenal.
It is. It's great for you. However, my Dr. Burr, once again, told me when I first went to see him, after running all those years, it's the worst thing you can do for your body, but walking is the best thing you can do for your body. And I didn't agree with him because I felt unless you were in pain when you were exercising, it wasn't working. And walking, you feel nothing, not really. So I didn't think he knew what he was talking about, but guess what he did?
Mm-hmm. So what are some ways, you're just kind of a self-moving, very independent mother, but for some of your friends that are not so independent, or for some of the people that are watching that, maybe they need to help their parents get a little bit more active, what would be some ways for like if you weren't independent and I needed to come and say, come on, Mom, what would be some ways to get you out there? Like walk in the malls?
I was just going to suggest that. Suggest that you go shopping with your parent. Take them to the mall or
I love that idea.
Maybe I had one friend who used to take her mother to Costco.
Did you know it's a full mile around Costco, up and down all the aisles and around?
And well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I have a client that does that.
Yeah, and then she said they would stop and eat all the snacks, and her mother just thought it was a fun thing to do, so that's what they would do.
That's a great idea. Costco.
And I don't know, encourage, I mean, maybe go with your mom just to,
Or your dad.
or your dad, depending, just take them to a park and walk and watch the ducks or feed the ducks, or, just to get them out of the house
Fresh air.
and get them out with other people again. I just feel that's one of the keys.
Connection to people. Well, that's what we are designed to do, is connect with people. So definitely. And we kind of talked a little bit about the spiritual aspect. I knew that would just kind of intertwine into, because that's our last little aspect. And I knew that would intermingle into all of your day and all that you do, because we are designed to do God's work all day long. And so, that we've kind of already talked about. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that we didn't talk about? I did want to talk about some really quick before you say something.
Okay.
I wanted to add back to the physical aspect. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, then a lot of these plans have home fitness ability, like where you can log in and order some home fitness equipment, so you can do some like band work, some ball work, some different activities like that. And then they also have some companion care hours. There's a couple of plans that have that available. So if you don't live close to your child or your parent and you need that, that is available. So it's real important to talk with either me or a member of my team, just to make sure, what you have and what options you have available for the what if, so that you're not left in the dark with any of it.
That's a good.
Yeah.
I do have one thing to add about my diet and eating. And my friends laugh at me. My family laugh at me, but this is what I do every weekend, usually on a Sunday afternoon. I will make a casserole, and that's what I will eat for 4 days during the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I never eat it on the day I make it. But then I'll eat it 4 days with a salad and a vegetable, because I'm very busy and I often don't get home until maybe 7 at night. And I know that's late to eat, but I have a well-balanced meal waiting for me. And it's all I have to do is heat it up and put the salad on the table, because I make that in the morning when I make my salad that I eat at lunch. And then, I'm ready to eat within 15 minutes after I get home. And it's a well-balanced meal. A lot of my friends, again, are eating popcorn for dinner, which is the worst thing you can eat, because corn,
or
cereal, or cheese and crackers, or, and this again is not a healthy diet. And so I have found that that really does help to have something that you can just heat up quickly and eat. Or TV dinners, a lot of them depend on those too.
Have you ever had a TV dinner?
I will eat Marie Callender's pot pies.
Like once a year?
No, I will eat them maybe once a month.
Oh,
I'll have
see, there you go.
Pie,
chicken pot pie from
Marie
Mary Callender's.
They're very good.
Okay. All right.
But there's
your TV dinner.
Yeah.
But don't eat those every day. She eats them once a month. So maybe in my resources section, we'll do a Mimi casserole recipe section, so y'all can have that. But that truly is I'm just going to wrap up with that, because you are the epitome of somebody really active and healthy. And I mean, I've got a lot of clients that are really active and healthy as well. And I know that the same common denominator will hold true. They do not eat processed food. They do not eat a lot of sugar. And it's the the catalyst of all of the things that are the great people that are really healthy and the unhealthy, the people that are struggling with lots of things. I know it is the sugar and the processed food. So I thank you for that. So Mom, I thank you so much for joining us. I think we'll probably have you back again, and maybe to go into, maybe what we'll do is we'll break down each of the topics a little bit deeper. What I'd love for you to do, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this after it's live, if you could please leave a comment. First of all, like and subscribe the episode, and subscribe to me, like the episode and subscribe to me, and share it with other people if they need to know about it. But I'd love for you to write in the comments what's the biggest insight that you took away from today's conversation and what you would like to hear more about. Just let me know that in the comments, because, I've got lots of people besides my mom that are so excited and willing to share really great things, really best practices. I know that at my point in my life, if I can hear a hack to make, whether it's washing my hair or doing my laundry, if I can make any of those things easier or faster or more efficient, I want to know how to do that. And so I want to be able to share all those things with you. If you want to physically follow a day in my mother's life, you better buckle up and put on your running shoes, that's for sure, and be prepared to climb a ladder. And anyway, I love you, Mama, and I thank you so much for this.
And I love you. And
okay,
thank you.
I'm going to give you a hug. Okay. Yay. And now y'all see who made me. Okay. Thanks, you guys. I hope you have a really blessed, amazing day. Bye.
Bye.